I have Tommy the Bargain Effect, and we have a very special guest today. His name is Aaron. His YouTube channel is Aaron Live, and also Trainer TV.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
So I'm going to let Tommy introduce himself, and then we'll let Aaron introduce himself as well.
Yeah, pretty much. I think people know who I am, but I am the Bargain Effect, product relocation specialist, your average everyday eBay seller, shortly getting into Amazon, thrifting from the rummage sales, auctions, flea markets, local grocery store, and currently in the beginning of a startup of a t-shirt printing and automotive decal business.
Awesome. My name's Aaron Luckenbach, Aaron Live, YouTuber / moving over to live streaming slowly. I guess a Pokemon content creator at the core, but I've also dabbled in some, selling as far as joining Dead Draw Gaming for a little bit, a Pokemon seller and competitive team, and just working my way with live streaming on both YouTube and Twitch.
Awesome.
Nice.
If you guys haven't seen any of Aaron's stuff, definitely make sure you subscribe to him. I have all of his information in the description below. So you definitely want to subscribe to both channels. You want to check him out on Twitch as well. I have his social media stuff as well. So you definitely want to make sure that you guys are following him. Definitely a great person to watch as far as creating content and just, being a vlogger or just learning the different nuances of multi-platform streaming and just creating content in that facet. I thought it'd be good to have Aaron on too, because I've had a lot of people ask me, well, how do you sell Pokemon cards? How do you do this? How do you do that? And Aaron has actually gone deeper into the Pokemon community than I have. He created a channel that has over 50,000 subscribers right now and a very loyal following. He's basically put like league vlogs on the map as far as going to Pokemon leagues, and it's a place where people can get together. They can play Pokemon together. They can trade cards. They can buy and sell cards there. Just a really cool concept. And he's been to like the World Championships, and he's done a lot with it. So I just thought it would be. Rather than me explaining it, which I've done, and I've helped a lot of people sell cards, I just thought it'd be good to have Aaron on just because his knowledge far and away outweighs mine. And we'll go ahead and welcome a few people in. Lisa C., you were the first one here. She's listening in while running errands. Looking forward to some great info. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure we provide you with that today. Ciosa, what's up, Lisa? Good to see you as well. Paul Gate City Picker, glad you're here. Kelly the Ecom Mom Ward, thanks for being here. Reseller Man, how you doing? Good to see you. Pearl is Precious, good morning. DC Sales, the master of the license plate, good to see you, D. Tiffany, what's up? Eat Sleep Amazon, glad you're here with us. So yeah, if there's anyone in the chat that has any questions, or you're curious about Pokemon, or any of that stuff, or multi-stream or multi-platform streaming and stuff like that, make sure you go ahead and throw a question in the chat for Aaron. Hey, Jen's Hobby Thrifts, good to see you. Glad you're here today.
Anthony, the Twitter and Instagram link is broken.
Okay. I'll re-add them. Hey, Tracy. Good to see you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, and we'll have more people jumping in as it goes, as the notification goes out and whatnot.
So are you just a Pokemon seller, or are you a player as well?
I'm a bit of a player. And at the core, I'm just a creator. But yeah, I have had times as far as being part of companies that sold Pokemon cards. And some of my best friends around me are card collectors and sellers. So I've heard and got to experience some selling myself, but as well as kind of soaking up some of their knowledge along the way. Yeah.
Cool.
So, Paul, when you say where do you start, what do you mean by that? Is that as far as cards, or is that as far as content creating? Like, what is your if you want to expound on that a little bit, we can make sure we get you a clear answer.
Hey, did you guys see that?
What's that?
Look in the chat, Anthony. Look it. It's them flipping critters.
What's up, Rebecca? Hey, Kathy. Kathy just jumped in.
Morning.
Okay. Yeah, Kathy has a good question, actually. She got a whole bunch of cards from a storage locker and doesn't know how to identify them or to know which ones are worth anything. So I can give you some pointers too. I'll kind of let Aaron touch on it too. For me, the things I look for are the date. I want to make sure that if it's an older one, typically you want to look for holographics, or you want to look for the big name Pokemon like the Charizards and stuff like that. If it's newer stuff, there's all of them have set symbols, and you can go to Pokemon.com and look up all the different set symbols to kind of see where it is or what it is. But typically, if you just would type in like the card name and its number on eBay, you should be able to get comps for it pretty easily. Aaron probably knows a little bit more to expound on that, I would think.
Sure. I mean, if you want to take the I guess the long road, it would be individually looking them up. I would use TCG Player for direct market value, whereas like eBay can fluctuate way higher than its actual value on average. So I would probably go to TCG Player and yeah, individually look them up. Or if you want to streamline the process, I will mention this a few times, but a Pokemon League, if you have a local Pokemon League, bring the cards, bring the collection over, find the organizer and have them go through it. I know many people have come into our league and then a few of the leagues when I was in Wisconsin with collections, and we were able to tell them what it was worth. Unfortunately, because some of the I guess these YouTube videos or Facebook videos being passed around about like your old Pokemon cards are thousands of dollars, like people think, or are valuing them way higher and don't want to let them go. So that's kind of a recent detriment to buying and selling. But yeah, hit up your league if you want to streamline the process, or TCG Player is the one I would trust.
Yep. I dropped some links in the chat for TCG Player. And also, if you go to Pokemon.com, you'll be able to put in your zip code and you'll be able to find leagues near you. So that's the easiest way to go about it. At first, I didn't even know that there were Pokemon leagues until I started watching Aaron's videos several years ago. And I ended up going to Pokemon.com and I put in my zip code and I was like, holy heck, there's a ton of Pokemon leagues like all around me. Like there was literally one at a mall that's like probably less than 10 minutes from my house.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, they're out there and they have ones that meet different days. And every single league I've ever been to, people were super friendly and they were welcoming. So it's one of those things, even if you go just to kind of figure out what you have in your cards. I've never been around people that would just be like shunning you because you didn't want to sit down and play the card game. Tracy has a question for you here.
Okay.
Let me pull her up real quick. I'm on the wrong screen. Here we go. She wants to know where you live, do you have a channel, and what's your story?
Okay. I live currently in Denver, Colorado. My story would be at the end of 2014, I found Pokemon videos on YouTube as far as like pack openings, actually just pack openings. And I thought it would be really, really fun. I was in China at the time, and I decided to come back to start YouTube. So actually, one of the one of the first things I did was go to a local Chinese market and buy a ton of fake Pokemon cards because I wanted to experiment how much like that would get hit up on YouTube. So yeah, came back, started the channel. That channel is called Trainer TV, and that was my main one for a while. We reached a pretty high number, but we're gonna come back now. Go to a local Chinese market. We haven't done it for about a year, so we're about to restart the channel. So yeah, that, and then I also have Aaron Live, which is my other YouTube channel, and yeah, I've just been basically kind of diving into the content creation side, but I've picked up a lot of information as far as selling and buying and collecting as well over the years.
Yeah, guys, and his videos are very entertaining, even if you're not into Pokemon or that kind of thing. Aaron has just a really good personality, and he makes his videos fun. But if you are into Pokemon or you know someone who is, his channel is like really either one is perfect for you. I played the card game competitively for a while, and like I said, because of him, I found leagues to go to. I was able to participate in tournaments and stuff, and it basically just took like my love of Pokemon and the cards and everything like that to the next level. So I did go ahead and I dropped a link just now. That's for his Trainer TV channel. So I'll go ahead and put Trainer TV after it, and I'm going to drop one to Aaron Live as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Definitely want to see as many people as possible go over and show you some love.
Now, with these cards, is there like a Beckett book of like for Pokemon cards and stuff?
There was. I don't know if they're still around, to be honest. I know a lot of people do like market watch more type videos right now, as far as watching individual cards, both PSA and Beckett, and also TCG players. Pretty much just where everybody goes now to find like true value. Mm-hmm.
I know anytime I was ever at the leagues and I needed a card to basically compete in the tournament, like I'd always ask the guys who run the leagues are typically called professors. So if you're a Pokemon professor, typically you're able to run leagues, tournaments, all that different stuff. And I would always text the guy who ran the league I went to most and be like, hey man, do you have this card? Do you have that card? Because he'd always have cards that you could either borrow or buy off of him if he was getting ready to run a tournament or whatnot. So typically every single time, even if you're trading, everybody's looking up TCG player to find the value. So that way you get equal value for your trade even. Mm-hmm. So that in the community, the people that know Pokemon, they really rely on TCG player.
Yeah, that's like the standard at league. Like the professor, like most leagues do this now, where the professor has to approve a trade so that no one gets ripped off, especially if they're like, not that knowledgeable. So the professor always brings up TCG player as the, getting that equal value going.
And that's actually really good, because I've seen at local leagues adults trading with kids, and that can be kind of a slippery slope. I know for a fact that I had wanted to make a few trades with kids before, and I would have like the parents kind of sit in and make, if they're there, the parents are still there, I'd have them kind of sit in and approve it. Especially if you're dealing with like more expensive cards. Like I know I had one parent that was like really kind of iffy because we were talking about a Tapu Lele, back when that was like pretty much the most expensive card in standard. Mm-hmm. So it's just something to be mindful of. And I think that's a great idea for the professor to kind of be the person to make sure it's a fair trade, just so like, small kids don't get taken advantage of, because a lot of times, they may not know things as well as the adults that are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have kids like mine that know a whole ton more about it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Joseph would ask me, can I trade with this kid at school this card? I'm like, I don't know. Is it a smart trade?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've seen the reverse happen as well, where the kid gets the better deal.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure. I typically would try to give the kids, anytime I traded with kids, I would try to give them a better deal. Just like, because they're kids
Mm-hmm.
and they can't really afford to go and buy cards. But this is Tapu Lele. This is kind of what I was just talking about. This was the most expensive card at the time I was making that trade with the kids. So I had the parents sit in on the trade just so they would know that, I wasn't trying to rip them off or anything.
It's always hard with those like really hot cards, like like Tapu Lele, and now like AGX is basically the same mechanic, and it's always hard trading those for like, even if it's equal value necessarily, like in the card game, it's not always equal as far as playability. So sometimes those are hard trades to make as well, like gauging the true value.
Absolutely. I want to say hi to a few more people that jumped in. Old School Picker, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Peddling Profits, glad you're joining us. Craig, Landshark Picker, glad you're here today too, man. Alabama Thrifter, good to see you.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So I got to ask, I don't know why I have this vision in my head, but when you go to these tournaments and stuff, I've never seen adults play it. We're from a small town. It's the kids, every kid around here has Pokemon cards in their pocket, and they play. None of them, I don't believe any of them are like collectors. They're just neighborhood players or whatever. So when I think of these tournaments, I have like this Comic-Con thing vision in my head. I mean, like, do people go there dressed up in Pokemon costumes and play these? That's the vision I have.
No, yeah, for sure. I think there was one event where it was like that, but it was marketed as a type of cosplay / tournament event. But most of them, no. You just have like the competitive scene mostly showing up. So pretty serious people about winning that day. So they don't really do that.
So it's more like watching your Texas Hold'em on TV type serious, or?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, typically when you go to a Pokemon tournament, most people are going to have a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
In that backpack, you're going to have like a play mat where you can kind of lay your stuff out so nothing gets damaged. Most serious players are going to have a play mat. I've seen people, like, for example, kids at league or whatever, they don't have play mats. The cool thing is at the league I went to, the professors get play mats in every month, and they use them as prizes for certain tournaments that they run. You'll also see people show up with deck boxes. They might look like this, or they might be, a little bit smaller and be like this size here. And they're going to have a 60-card deck, which is essentially what they play with. They'll typically have some kind of a dice, you know what I mean? And these like little GX markers in here. And they show up and they're ready to play. You know what I mean? It's really serious for the most part.
Yeah. Trying to get out mine here.
Yeah, Aaron's probably got more stuff than me. But a lot of times, like, this is from a league challenge. Like, when you win, you'll get like little cards like this. I'll make it big real quick so you can see it. Like, I came first place in the league challenge tournament. So there'll be like a little card with the league challenge logo on it, and it'll say first place, like right here. So that's just like signifies that you played in a tournament and you won.
Those league promos, not the recent ones, but if you do find a Pokemon lot with older cards, if you look at the date, and anything from like, the 2000 or earlier, the first few years of Pokemon, if they have the league promo, hold those for a second, because some of them do shoot up in price a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess if you're going to leagues now, that's maybe a tip for the future. And maybe in 5-10 years, the current promos will get a reprint, which will shoot up these prices. So like I always hold on to, kind of hoard my league promos a little bit. Most people just discard them or trade them off really easily.
Yep.
But mine from like I think 7 years ago now, all like tripled in price because I like held on to them and they just got recent reprints.
Yep. And the cool thing is, at League, no one wants them because you get those handed out every week by the professor. So they're basically like trash at the league. So a lot of time, the league I went to had a you leave a card, take a card type system. You can go through every week and you could just leave a card you don't want and take cards you do want. So I would leave basically the regular version of that card, and I would take all of the league promos and even like current league promos for people that don't go to league and they're looking to buy cards either for putting together their deck or whatever. They would rather have the league promos because they're more rare. So I've done a lot better on with those type of cards on eBay, even if it's a card that isn't very playable, because the playability makes a big difference in price of cards too. They would still rather have the league version.
Yeah, for sure.
Tommy Bernard's in here. What's up, man? Got some Snickers creamer. That sounds good.
Yeah, that's what I got in my coffee this morning, Snickers creamer.
I'm just rocking some Diet Coke, some strawberry and guava today.
Hey, just got some regular coffee.
I know Rebecca asked this a while ago. She wanted to know if you knew anything about like Magic or like other trading cards too.
I know only a bit, and that's just mostly from my friends. But like, I would say a lot of the base knowledge is similar. I know Magic is actually very different than the Pokemon market, but as far as like Yu-Gi-Oh and some of these other ones, you can all you often find on Instagram, which is actually a decent place to sell. A lot of sellers who do both Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon on there, and that's going to be TCG Player as well. Like if finding the values of those, it's just like TCG Player is just such a great place to get the actual value of Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon cards.
We had a question just recently where they're asking, how do you tell it's a holo? Because they've seen cards that look holographic, but they're not sure if it's a holo. So I'm just looking through this little thing here so I can try to find what's a holo and what's a reverse. I'm trying to see if I have two of the same card, holo and reverse holo.
Oh, sure. Let me grab some. All right. All right, so there's holographics and reverse holographics. I may not be able to find the same card, but I can at least show the difference. Okay, here we go. So I have a Pheromosa card here, and the shininess is only on the picture there. This is going to be called a holographic rare. You get one rare per pack, and sometimes they're holographic or higher rarity even, and I can show you guys that. But yeah, this would be a good pull, a decent pull. Now the same card, this is going to be a reverse, and that's where the holographic is everywhere. This is actually you get one reverse per pack, but they could be common, uncommon, or rare. So sometimes it's a little more rare to get the rare reverse. I can tell you from like a player's standpoint that a lot of players like to reverse their decks if there's not a higher rarity. So just get the shininess throughout the deck. So a lot of it comes down to player preference, but this is technically the value card, the actual holographic rare of the set. So yeah, those are those two.
Cool. Yeah, then they got stuff like ultra rares, full art rares, secret rares. There's all kinds of, higher rarities, I should say.
All these guys here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to sell these actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for example, like they used older sets will have what's known as the EX, which is a card that looks like this. There might be like a 4 EX, which I'll have to go through this little stack here and see if I have one on hand. Now, this is newer sets will have what's known as a GX, which look like this. And the main difference between an EX and GX is there's a GX attack at the bottom of each one that you can only use once per game. So those are the ultra rare cards. I will check to see if I have any full arts down here or any like rainbow ultra secret rares or whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm. So your GX cards are going to be like mainly what people are trading at League. A lot of players at League are there to build their decks and to engage in the card game, but I often find that some collectors and sellers also hit it up. I guess that would be a little tip that I picked up over the years is if you're a seller, get involved with like the local league, because not only do you learn the cards, but you create this like loyalty sense. So people often let their cards go at a much lower value to help support you as a seller. And I've seen that happen time and time again. So if you can, like, of course you have to go in, you have to be genuine and become part of their community. But once you are, a lot of people want to help you out, build your company.
Yeah, absolutely. I've found pretty good success with that too. Especially with people that are getting out of the game. Like for example, if you've been going to a league for any amount of time, and you see somebody that hasn't been there in 3 weeks to a month, if you build a friendship, hey, send them a message on Facebook or a text message. Hey, what's going on, man? How come you haven't been at league or whatever? And a lot of times it's just like, I'm just kind of losing interest in it. And I've been able to actually buy out collections from people that have had basically fallen from the game. And typically, if you're somebody that goes to a league regularly or you play in tournaments, you have decent cards that are playable that people are going to want to buy. And typically when you go to league, everybody has a binder. And most people have multiple binders because they have the one that they use for play, and then they have the one that they use for trade. And you can't touch the one they have for play because that's their stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, once they get more cards than what they need, they'll put it in a trade binder. And still, like, there's some people that had better trade binders than I had play binders. So it's just one of those things where you just get to meet different people, and there's just like with reselling, there's connections everywhere.
Mm-hmm. No, and to build off that, like, I guess that would be like the biggest tip. Like, that's where you make the most money, is buying collections or even just flipping in general. Sealed product, as far as booster boxes and elite trainer boxes, they give such a low, I guess, turnaround because you have to pay for shipping and stuff like that. That if you can really hit, buying collections or going to garage sale and buying, a lot, or even like the Tapu Lele you mentioned, getting that lower and flipping that real fast.
Yeah.
Those are all, like, I guess, where you get the higher return. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can get really good value just from opening packs. And if you get lucky and you get one of the more expensive or more playable cards, you can turn around and flip that right away. For example, like the Tapu Lele, that's just the basic ultra rare that I showed you guys. That card would have been, like $40 some, back when the set released. So, now it might be like $10 to $12 because it rotated out of the standard format. So that's something that you kind of got to keep in mind too. Like there are cards that become staples, like that Tapu Lele was basically almost every single deck that any competitive player would play. That was a card that had to be in it, and sometimes multiple copies of it. So knowing the formats and stuff is sometimes helpful, especially if you plan to sell Pokemon cards on any kind of level. I mean, you could just pick up cards like one time here and there. You might not. It might not be necessary to really know that stuff. But for me, like I really enjoy the card game. I really enjoy Pokemon. So like, that's going to be a staple of what I do moving forward. Up until this point, it's been about 30% of my eBay business, and I plan to get more into the wholesale side of that within the next few months too. So I'm looking forward to expanding into the market a little bit. And the nice thing is getting into wholesale. Like it may actually afford me building better decks and getting back into the competitive scene, because I haven't played in a tournament probably in several months now, just because I've been so busy with trying to build up eBay and the different platforms I'm on, and trying to get YouTube up and running. And I'm looking forward to getting a little bit more into that.
That's awesome. I have a tip for all of you guys. Do you have Anthony? Do you have a code card on hand? I'm trying to find one.
I have some upstairs. I can run and grab one.
Okay, I just want to show what they look like.
Let me text my wife, see if she'll run one down.
Yeah, sounds good. So every current Pokemon pack comes with a code card where you can redeem it for a pack of cards on the online trading card game. Now, this is like the biggest piece of information that like not a lot of people have really attacked yet as far as Pokemon selling goes, is that these cards are actually worth money. So for instance, a code at the beginning of a set release could be anywhere from 50 cents to 70 cents. So a lot of people do sell them off, though, in lots for 25 cents. So if you create a website or some form of selling, even on some Facebook groups that I can get into maybe in a little bit as far as Pokemon cards go, you can buy these bulk code cards and just flip them.
Yep.
I have a friend who does that, and if he just started, but if he keeps up his current track, he'll make $100,000 this year just from selling code cards.
Yep.
Wow.
And those are things that kind of just look like an extra piece of advertisement in the pack.
Right.
So I'm sure if like you don't play competitively and you're just opening up packs because somebody collects them, that might be something you just discard or throw away. But they're valuable because the online trading card game is super popular, and that's how you get packs in the online trading card game, is by redeeming those code cards. And I'll actually give away a few of those as soon as my wife brings them down. You actually don't even need to have the physical card to be able to redeem it. You just need to have the actual code number.
Yep, exactly. There's a few apps that you can kind of just mass scan your codes, and you can, when you sell your codes, you can put it in email form, and they can just get it by that. The only law about the code cards is if you redeem them online, you can't sell redeemed packs from the online game. Like you can't say log on to your game and I'll trade you these packs for X amount of dollars. They have to be done before the code gets entered into the game. Yeah.
Kelsylvania, you changed your name. That's awesome. Yeah, I was talking with Kel on Instagram, and that was Kel's Collectibles. So that's really cool. I'm glad to see you changed your name. What's up, Pixel Sandwich? Stuff from Sally. Thanks for being here. Myra Elaine. It's Pat the Reseller. BK Vending and Flipping. Yeah, Matt just said his brother just tosses his code cards.
A lot of people do. If you hang around that league, the kids will sometimes, if they know you're a seller, the kids will sometimes just give you their codes because they don't play online, So it's a really, I mean, there's some established people in the code selling game, but it's still largely
I'm gonna go grab the code.
untouched.
Be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that like there are also companies that are starting to get influencers as far as like people who stream the Pokemon trading card game online over on Twitch, a lot of them will have them advertise their code company. So they just run through them really fast. So yeah, if you can, also local card stores will also work out a deal with you sometimes because they don't want to sell their codes. They just want to sell packs or the singles. So if you can hook up with a few local stores to buy all their codes at like a lower bulk price, there's also a lot of stores that do that.
I'm so lost.
There's a lot to it for sure. Yeah.
I've never been. I got like 2 big boxes flats of all these, even like sports cards,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been sitting down here in a death pile for like 2 years because I have no idea what to do with them. And those are probably, there's probably more information about those, I imagine, because it's a wider spread, been around for years type thing. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna send them all off to Anthony or something.
Right. Yeah, I wish I knew more about sports cards, but yeah, that's one thing. I mean, I have a good stack as well, but I don't know. I don't know where to start with those.
I mean, my son tried to look them up, and he's like, "Look, Dad, this one was going for $15 on eBay," and I'm like, but then they're like in sleeves or they're graded, and I know condition is a big thing, and I don't know what's like on scales of condition wise. I'm like, man, they're gonna sit there until I come across somebody that just wants them.
Yeah, exactly. Gate City Picker. The large cards are only really for collectors. There's no player value in them. No, there's not a lot to them. They go pretty cheap. But there are people who want to get every single one of them because they collect like the promo cards. But as far as normal markets, those don't move very well.
So there's 2 different types of code cards that you'll get in a pack. I don't know if Aaron said this yet, but you'll get one that's like all green and one that is like white with like a little bit of green. There's a difference between them. Typically, the one that is white is the better one you want to get because that signifies you're going to have at least a holo rare in the pack, sometimes like an ultra rare or whatnot. If you get the green one, it means like you basically got a dud pack. The best you can get is like a rare reverse. So the reason for that is the white one is lighter and the green one is heavier, and they do that so you can't weigh the packs. Because there used to be people that would go to the store and they would bring a little scale with them and they would weigh out the packs because the better cards weigh more, like for the holographic and stuff, and the ultra rares, they weigh more than the regular, dud pack, I would say. I mean, not that it's a dud pack, because if you're a collector, you want to try to get all the cards, but essentially, like if I'm opening up a pack and I get this green card, it like ruins the pack for me. Because I want to be able to get this because I know I'm getting a better value card in it. But
as far as reselling them, those will have the same value. But as far as like the actual cards you get in the pack, yeah.
And then there's also differences. For example, this right here, it basically just says the set name. So that's telling you you're getting that set card pack, and this, it has that set name, but it's for a 3-pack blister. So you're going to actually get the promo card and stuff that comes with that online as well. But
yeah, I'll be right back.
Give these away. These are all for the Lost Thunder set, which was a pretty good set.
That was.
Anybody's interested in those, let me know. We'll figure out a way to give those away, whether if I just flash them on the screen or whatnot. I know a lot of resellers might not know the whole like you give away just by throwing it on the screen type thing, or maybe I can like message somebody the codes afterwards or something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll figure that out. But yeah, none of those are redeemed. So those are all good to go. Okay, so Pixel Sandwich has a question. Say 2 cases of Pokemon booster boxes are 1,000 pounds. The code make up about 80 pounds of the value.
Yeah, or about that. Yeah, I know Pixel. He does some flipping and buying and selling as well. So yeah, he has a lot of resources, but I would say that maybe a little higher on the codes, because I know they. Yeah, I would say about a tenth, I guess, of that you would make back automatically if you sold the codes, which is very high considering with 2 cases you're getting a good amount of bulk that you can package together to do some eBay lots or Facebook lots, and then also you're going to hit a few of the super rare cards. For instance, like this newest set has this Charizard that's above $250 if you pull it. So like you pull one of those out of like 1,000. I'm going to change that to dollars. Out of $1,000, you've already made up a large chunk plus the codes, and then you're going to make up the rest by selling the bulk and putting a few rares in the bulk, and then yeah, you'll be good. Yeah, I would say it is coming back for a while. Bulk lots died, but a lot of people, for instance, what I'm talking about is they'll take a bunch of commons and uncommons and throw a few rares in there and sell them as like 100 card lots for $20. And a lot of the younger kids who would buy booster packs in the stores, they like those because they just want like the overall cards. They want a lot of Pokemon cards, so they don't really care, as far as like if you're getting the EX or the GX like we talked about earlier. They just want Pokemon cards. So a lot of them buy the lots on there for birthdays and such. So you can make a lot of money with lots if you do it right. Lots are a little oversaturated in my opinion. So I think the open market right now would be code cards, then individual cards as well.
I actually just got a tip yesterday. Cal Sylvain is asking me if I know anybody in Pittsburgh that sells lots of cards, like a store or something like that. Yeah, I got a tip yesterday from Derek's son, which is surprisingly lives in Rhode Island. There's a shop called Steel City Collectibles or something like that here in Pittsburgh. Apparently, they actually even do really, really awesome Black Friday deals. So I'm probably going to see if I can pick up some Pokemon stuff from them. But they do everything, from sports to like autographs to, all the like trading card game actually cards too. So I would look them up, Steel City Collectibles. They'll probably be able to help you. Most card stores will buy your cards from you. For example, there's even comic book stores that'll buy your cards. Like by me, Pittsburgh Mills has a New Dimension Comics. They actually have a Pokemon League that meets there, but they'll actually buy your stuff to resell at the store. So most card stores you go to, or most people that sell cards, will buy your cards too.
Mm-hmm. The other resource, like I mentioned briefly earlier, that I should go into is Facebook. There's a group. There's Burbank City Gym, and there's like Burbank Market or Burbank City Market, and those are where people advertise both buying and selling. And you could easily go into there and be like, "Hey, does anybody live near this city and is buying?" And you'll find someone. Yeah, so there's a lot of individual sellers and a lot of card stores on that site who buy up bulk and also sell bulk and singles.
Yeah,
and that's
So if I wanted to dabble in this, not knowing anything,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to invest a whole bunch of money or buy thousands of cards, I mean, what would be the the best way to start? I mean, like just go to the store and buy a handful of packs and then bring them home and open them up and go through them and run them online to see what they're worth, or is
I
that like
guess
not something that's very successful in doing? Or you're just because you're basically hoping on luck of getting the
right.
right cards in the pack, right?
Yeah,
But just to totally learn from absolutely no idea what I'm doing,
hmm
where do I start without investing a gob of money?
a lot of it would be like just start watching at first. So the Verbank Facebook group that I just mentioned is probably the best place to start because you get to see what the overall value of certain cards are. Both competitive and collectors are on there. And as far as if you wanted to dabble, I mean, the packs, you would lose money if you did the packs, but it's an experiment. So if you like value that in, otherwise, if you can buy something like at a garage sale or go to your league and start there, that'd be a great place. So league or the Facebook group, and just do it one card at a time. Like don't heavily invest. Maybe if you're going to go the pack route, buy a few packs. Try to sell some of the code cards there. And then see what your rare is. If you have something, yeah, flip it. But you're going to lose money if you go to the store and buy it. Yeah, you have to buy, if you want to make money opening packs, you either have to be a content creator that gets money already from just the views and then flip the card, or you have to, like Anthony's talking about, you have to buy them at, the base value and then crack them and sell them.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything in stores, you'll lose. Yeah.
I've seen different content creators to open up booster boxes. Say like the booster box value is $90. They'll open up the entire box. They'll factor out their code cards. I'll make X amount from these 36 code cards. You know what I mean? Then they'll go through. They'll separate their ultra rares. Say this one is worth $20. This one is worth $6. This one is worth $7. You know what I mean? And then they'll go through and do their hollows next, and any playable trainer cards, because every deck, at least half of it's made up of trainer cards that kind of help you navigate and execute your game plan to make your deck successful. So trainer cards are important. Surprisingly, anywhere you go amongst, like, for example, like people at leagues and stuff, energy cards are like garbage. You know what I mean? Basically, it's like something you'd use to start a fire with. I've lotted together 90 cards, like 10 of each color, and I can sell those all day on eBay for, $8. So it's, you know what I mean? Like there's value in everything online. It's just figuring out what that value is. A lot of time what I'll do with the trainer cards is I'll wait till I have 4 of them, because you can run 4 of the same card in each deck, and then I'll put them up on eBay as a lot of 4. That way they have the entire set of trainer cards. So
Yeah. I would say that, like, with any card game, whether it be, I saw a few comments about when we talk about Magic, whether it be Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon, a lot of it has to do with learning the game a little bit. So you're a little familiar with, like, at least how a deck works, like you're talking about, like knowing 4 of a kind go in a deck, therefore getting 4 of that card and selling it, as well as eventually you'll get to the point, if you watch the game close enough, where you can predict, and that's where I've made my most money from selling Pokemon cards, like buying cards, full art cards for like $4 and then waiting till they're 30 and then selling them. That's happened multiple times just by like watching how the game is evolving. But of course it takes a while to get there. So like at the beginning, just learning the basics of the rule of 4, and what you need energy and trainers and Pokemon in a deck, So yeah.
Another good thing too in that regard is if you were to, if you don't know anything about the game and you just want to learn about the game so you know what kind of stuff people are into, download the trading card game on your computer or your tablet. It's super easy. Just go to Pokemon.com. you'll be able to download it's Pokemon online trading card game. So, or Pokemon trading card game online, I believe. So you download that. It'll actually teach you the basics of the game to start, and it'll start you off with cards. So you'll have your own little deck, and then from there you can actually, by playing it, you can earn credit to get other packs. But there's also a feature there where you can trade cards with people, and the traded card area will actually show value. You know what I mean? Like what you need to trade to get certain cards. The higher that value is, the more expensive that card typically is, and the better that card typically is. So if you see on the trading card game online that the value of certain cards are very high, you'll know those are cards you want to look out for and you want to be able to get. So it's really easy as far as like BOLO, like be on the lookout to find good Pokemon cards just by looking at the trading section on the trading card game online, and you'll see what the more expensive cards are that way.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to enter when you don't like if you're just starting out. So like there's so many different tips. A lot of it has to do is I would just say watch for a while, get on the Facebook groups. There's a live stream this weekend of a regional, so you'll get to see like what the competitive players are using, and usually what's in their decks are what's expensive.
Yeah.
So another thing sellers do is they watch, and as long as they hear the commentator saying, "Oh, that's a card we haven't seen before," and it's like winning the tournament, then jump on to your TCG player in eBay, buy that card, before it shoots up, and then you can resell it the next week when everybody's trying to build that deck.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And there's always at least one dark horse at each tournament where everybody's like, "Wow, how is that doing as good as it is?" So that's a good one to keep an eye out for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get involved. It's a big one. I want to mention briefly PSA and Beckett as far as grading your cards. PSA is the way to go with Pokemon. I know that's not the way with every card game. Beckett got a little bit of hype from this new Charizard, like I mentioned, that's over $250 if you just pull it straight from the pack. There are some PSA grading services if you don't have a lot of cards that will get you your, I guess, smaller lots graded cheaper than going directly and getting a PSA account. But it's a great way to take your single cards that you get and making them worth even more. But yeah, because there are a lot of PSA collectors out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it can make the price astronomically worth a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jacobs just jumped in the chat, and he's actually a guy that I've given Pokemon advice to before, and he's actually gotten some Charizard stuff graded. And just seeing the value of the card he had in his binder compared to what it was when he got it graded, it's well worth putting the extra money into it, because number one, it'll sell faster, there'll be a bigger market, and it'll multiply the price. It really will. It's almost like if you have a house that needs work, if you put the work into it, you can sell it for a greater value and make more money off of your investment. It's the same with your cards. If you get them graded, and if it comes back with a good grade, you know what I mean? If the card's in bad shape, I wouldn't even consider grading it. But if it looks like it's in good shape, there's like no nicks on it, no whiting of the card, it's not off-centered or anything like that. I would send it in. If you have questions on grading, you can always even send me pictures of it, on Instagram or email or whatever. I have all that information down below. You can feel free to message me. I would at least give you my opinion on it. But yeah, especially if you get like one of them Charizards and you get a Gem Mint 10, that sucker's going through the roof in value.
Mm-hmm. Now, Anthony, going off of what Tommy asked earlier, like, nothing, you're getting into the game, and we're talking about grading right now. So we know Charizard. What other cards have you noticed as far as Pokemon names that maybe they can make a short list to look out for in their bulk cards or when they're trading buying? So Charizard. What else would you say?
Well, I mean, for the new ones, definitely Dedenne,
Mhm.
because that's a staple.
Yeah.
In the past, like Tapu Lele was a staple, Shaman was a staple. They're not so much anymore. But I mean, anything Charizard is 100% collectible. So even if it's not playable, people will collect that. So you definitely want to pick those up. Trying to think as far as like anything like old, like 1999 holographics.
Yeah.
You definitely want to pick those up. A lot of times, if those are in good condition, you want to consider grading them, depending on what the value is. And again, TCG Player and eBay sold comps would be your best friend as far as determining that. But a lot of the older stuff, not only is it collectible, but there's just a lot of nostalgia people had because those people are now grown up and they want to get their old stuff back. It's the same as we talk about all the time with anything else, whether it's video games, like as far as GameCube being hot right now, the kids that had it are now adults and they want that stuff back. So it's the same with the older Pokemon cards. So personally for me, not knowing anything at all, if the cards are old and I see that they're holographic, I'm going to pick them up.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that, like you're saying, if they're old, a lot of the collectors are from the beginning of Pokemon. So I would say some of your hot cards would still, of course, it's Charizard, like always, but like Mewtwo is also a very high collected card. Gyarados is a very high collected card. I'm an Alakazam collector. That's not so high, but which is good for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say that the original 151 have a lot of, like you were saying, nostalgia to it. So I would say Gyarados, Charizard, and some rare Pikachu cards would be near the top of the value if you can find some.
Myra's asking you if Ditto cards are worth more.
There's a current Ditto card that's being heavily played right now. Ditto Prism.
I got one of those here.
Okay.
I'll show it.
So I would say this one is worth a lot. I think there is one old Ditto that's worth a lot, but as far as Ditto in general, I don't think so.
Ditto Prism right there. You can only have one of these prisms per pack, or per deck. Excuse me.
Yeah. Aaron, our Ditto cards, yeah.
What about a first edition Machamp holographic, 1999?
The one from the starter deck, I guess that would be a one that would have a little more value if it was graded. Because we know that it's either from pack, or I think the holographic was maybe only in the starter deck of the Machamp. I don't remember though. But I know that one graded is a few dollars, but the Machamp doesn't hold a ton of value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the, like everyone was going after like the Charizards, and you get the Machamp, you're like, dang.
Yeah. Now, I saw a comment that like there's so much that goes into this. There really is, and we're kind of like giving like a ton of information right here because I'm not sure what like levels or experience people have, but yeah, I mean the basic breakdown is like we were saying earlier, like just start watching, learning a little bit, jumping on these Facebook groups, and yeah, like Tommy was talking about, maybe experiment, like, buy a few packs or something just to get it.
Yeah, and I have no problems with going out and spending a few dollars buying packs if it's going to teach me something. I am so willing to pay for education,
Right.
And D is basically saying something right here. So if you come across a box full out in the wild, like, if you're at a garage sale or something like that, is it worth picking up? What is the point where you would pick them up or leave them? Have I ever passed? The only time I ever pass is if it's overpriced and it's bulk. What I mean by bulk is stuff that would be commons and uncommons. And you can tell by the symbols at the bottom of the card. I'll show you guys real quick what I mean by that. I'm gonna grab one of each rarity. Anything you find shiny, you definitely want to pick up. But yeah, I love picking up Pokemon cards at garage sales, stuff like that. So I'm just gonna try to. I don't even know. Oh yeah, I do have a comment here with the two. Grab a rare.
And to go along with what DC's asking, if you're in the wild and we don't know much, and like over at the flea market, I see either like freezer bags full of Pokemon cards or little boxes full of Pokemon cards, and you say as long as they're not overpriced. So if we're first starting, what is a safe, not overpriced? Like, I don't know what's overpriced. So what would be a safe, like,
for me, it's any not worried about losing. You know what I mean? Like for me, like if I can get the box for $10, you know what I mean, $20 even, depending on how much is in there. But the first thing I'm going to be looking for is age and hollows. And that's the easiest thing you can do. If they're old and there's holographics, pick them up. You know what I mean? But if there's no holographics, you see a whole bunch of energy cards, like I would pass. So for example, I'll make myself large. When you're looking at cards, like say there's a big box, each one will have like a little symbol at the bottom. There's a circle, there's a diamond, and there's a star. So the first one would be the circle. You'll see it down at the bottom there.
Okay.
That means it's a common card. So the likelihood of that card being worth anything more than bulk prices is very low. And bulk prices, that fluctuates where you can sell them to companies that sell cards in bulk, and they'll give you like 2 to 5 cents per card. The next one would be the diamond, and you'll see that down there. That means it's an uncommon card. Now, most cards that are uncommon aren't worth a whole lot, but they're like, this is a trainer card, for example. So certain trainer cards hold value. A lot of times I'll try to get these in sets of 4. That way you can, sell it as a play set. And then the last symbol you'll see there is a star there. So star means it's a rare. And this one's also holographic. You might not be able to see it that well with the card, but yeah, you can have holographic, rares that aren't holographics too. So you just want to make sure you're not buying a whole bunch of circles.
Okay.
Because that just means they're not worth a whole lot.
I would also buy. What I do a lot at garage sales, I do this with Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! When I don't know exactly what they're worth. I try to like base them off of, a few cents per common card. But I also try to gauge the sellers, how they're acting. So like, I don't buy from flea markets because I know they know what it's worth. And if I I buy from garage sales or from people at League. So if I'm at the garage sale, sometimes I can tell just by how much they value their cards. If they have like a lot of nostalgia to it, they're going to price it higher. Or they've, like I mentioned at the beginning, they've seen those, Facebook videos passed around that your old Pokemon cards are worth thousands of dollars. Now they think their cards are automatically worth more, because they've watched that video. So I really try to gauge it. Like I said, I probably wouldn't go above 20 ever. There was a huge Magic lot I tried to pick up, but again, it was like her sons, she knew how much money she put into it, and she wanted to get, a lot more value than what you could sell them for. So you kind of really have to gauge the seller on that. If they're like, yeah, I don't care, you kind of want to find one of those sellers. Like I picked up a ton of game systems from people who don't care if it's $10 or not. Yeah.
And Aaron's recently was in the past several months done a series where he was doing garage sales and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool to watch too.
I only have a few episodes because I had to drop out of that series, but it was pretty fun, like learning stuff outside my comfort zone. So that's what I try to figure out. Yeah. Yeah.
See, I love that's why I'm intrigued. Not so much that I have any type of attraction to Pokemon at all,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I love expanding my base of what I learn about and what I can flip, make money. You know, I have no interest in playing the game, but if I had to learn the basics of playing to, like you say, learn how what you need in decks and whatever to create sets, I'd be willing to do that because I am always out to once I feel like I say, okay, I got this type of product mastered or something. Now I can take on another one, and that's how I expand. I started out selling clothes, and now I got
Yeah.
all kinds of different stuff. And I took it one step at a time.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that have very successful businesses just selling Pokemon cards, Magic cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, just because they got into knowing what collectors want, but they also know what players want, and that stuff's always in demand. Like the stuff that I post that is popular playable wise, it sells within the first week of being up on eBay. It sells very fast. You know, anything that I have that's popular collectible wise, it sells very fast. I have other stuff that's not really in demand that'll sell here and there, be a little more long tail. But for the most part, like anything that's playable that people are building decks around, that'll sell very, very fast within the first couple days of being up on online.
Yeah. I'm trying
How are people? How are people? Because I've seen on eBay with any kind of card that they're selling, and you know these cards sell for $3 free shipping. How is he making money on that? Because I can't buy a shipping label for less than $3.
mm,
I use stamps. If I'm doing free shipping, I use stamps. If by some chance you see that the seller is international, that means they're using the China like e-packet rate, which
Mhm.
literally
Yeah,
they
those I understand because you get all that credits and
well, you want to be careful with China stuff sometimes because there's a lot of cards that are fake in the Chinese market, and I don't have any fake cards on me right now to show you the difference. Like for example, we have a collectible store up in the Pittsburgh Mills Mall. It's a different store than the one I was just talking about before, where the league is. It's like a collector's den or something like that, where they sell a little bit of all things collectible. They do have like the ultra rare Pokemon cards there, but most of them are fake. Like I've had to tell the guy, like, dude, you're selling fake cards,
mm,
and he was like, oh no, people buy these. These are good, and it's like, dude, like, there's no way somebody will be able to play that in a tournament or anything. You know what I mean? And he's there selling them all to kids, and it's like they're fake cards. You know what I mean? You can just tell um, by the way it looks because there's either going to be some kind of flaw, the font will be different, or the holographic pattern's going to be completely funky looking. So you got to be careful with that too. So some of these fakes have gotten so good, sometimes it's hard to tell. But for the most part, if you're getting it at a reputable place, you won't have that issue. I just found it to be weird that there's a store literally selling fakes in the middle of a mall.
so then so if you ship with stamps, okay, I can see where you can make a couple bucks then. But how does that work with eBay with not being able to provide tracking? And then do you have people saying, "Oh, I never got the card"?
I've had that happen once or twice. I mean, for the most part, I don't have an issue with it. If it's a more expensive card, I'll bake the shipping into the price, and then you know what I mean. Then I'll ship it out, you know, in a bubble mailer, well protected. But for the most part, if I'm selling cards that are like, for example, under $10 in value, then I'll just throw a stamp on it and send it out. If I have to eat the $10, I'll eat the $10. But that happens very rarely.
Don't you get like, or how do you do that with eBay? Don't you get like a late shipping or a thing?
That's been the main issue that I've had is it keeps me from being a top rated seller because I don't have the tracking uploaded on time for I think right now 15% of my orders. And it's because of selling Pokemon cards because I'm not, for example, like a lot of these like little trainers and you know stuff I've just been showing you. If I were to charge shipping on those, I would either break even or with the eBay fees, I would lose money. You know what I mean? So for
Right.
that, it's not even worth um, doing any of that. It's just put it in a top loader like this, and send it out, in an envelope.
So have you thought about maybe opening up a separate store just to do your cards on, so it doesn't affect your other items as far as being top rated or whatever?
That's something that I'm going to eventually do. I've been kind of trying to prioritize my business a little bit, where I wanted to get Mercari going first, and then I wanted to, reinstall Posh, which I've done both of those things, and now I'm getting Amazon up and running. So I want to make sure all the arms of what I'm doing are strong before I start a whole nother store in eBay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have another store that we have on eBay, very small, but I haven't spent a lot of time on it, but that's the store that I know I've mentioned it in the show before too, that's going to be like our drop ship store. And you can't get top rated you can be a drop shipper on eBay, but you can't be a top rated drop shipper. And that's what we're going to do with that other store, to separate it from the actual store where I actually fingerprint everything that I sell on that one.
So I guess I should probably ask Aaron, what's your time frame look like? Typically the show runs about an hour and 15 minutes, which we're coming up on, but it's completely up to you, man. If you need to bounce, we can cut it off, or we can keep rolling, whatever you would prefer as the guest. I don't want to step on your toes time wise.
Oh, no, I have time. So if we want to keep going, we can. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave that up to you guys, I guess, to gauge. But yeah, I will take one moment here, but I'll be right back.
Okay. Sounds good.
Perfect.
I find it quite interesting because it's something I know nothing about. So when a topic like that comes up, it intrigues me because I like to learn as much as I can. I try to learn something new every day, even if it's not life-changing knowledge. Just feel like learn something. Like today I learned stay away from the cards with the circles.
Yeah.
Now I'll be going through Joseph's deck later on this afternoon when I eat lunch, looking at his cards.
Yeah.
I never paid attention to him before, ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's good money in it, man. If you get the right ones, there's definitely good money. And just knowing the basics, you know what I mean? Like you don't I mean, it's helpful to know the game. Like if you want to get into this, and really make money selling Pokemon cards, you almost have to know the game. But if you just come across Pokemon cards in the wild, just knowing, stay away from the circles and diamonds. You know what I mean? Some diamonds can be okay, but for the most part, you want to look for the ones that have a star at the bottom. You want to look for the ones that are holographic. You want to look for ones that are older. You want to look for ones that are, the shinier, the better.
Okay.
I did want to add real fast that if you're looking to get into it, maybe I should have mentioned this earlier. There are like 4 main ways to sell. I think the 5th one would be code cards if we wanted to get into that. But there would be like a lot of sellers to start off kind of specialize in one of them. And then as their business grows, they expand their knowledge into the others. The first one would be lots, not bulk lots, but a group of individual cards that you pick up. Maybe, like Anthony's saying, pick up those holo cards. Maybe you have 10 holo cards and you put them up on Instagram or Facebook to sell. The second one would be the individual value, which then you could increase, like we talked about with PSA. If you want to do that. The third one would be completed sets. So we saw the rarities, the circle, the diamond, the star. Next to those will be like card 3 out of 115, and that would be a set number. People do buy completed sets. So if you have all 100 and whatever amount of those cards, we can go ahead and collect all of them.
Right there, he's talking about the set number. And then over on the far left there, you'll see a symbol. That's the set symbol. So that's kind of how you can tell if it's all the same set. Sometimes you'll get lucky. Like I had a guy who he had a connection at Target, and they would sell him all of the cards. Like after a while, when they were getting ready to basically get rid of their stuff that wasn't selling, they would sell them to him for pennies on a dollar. So he would actually go through, complete the sets, and he would actually hand me binders full of sets. And then I'd go through and I'd buy like all of the, staple cards from him that way too. So a lot of collectors too, like even old collectors, you might come across somebody that has a binder of their old collection in order of, the entire set. So it's just, something to be mindful of. Collections are definitely something that collectors want to have the entire thing. I know people that are literally have a binder of each set, and they'll have, dozens of binders just sitting around with each set complete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the fourth one is just like we mentioned, the bulk lots. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, learn one of them, and that's a good way to start.
Cool.
Yeah. Old school picker. Is the circle, diamond, and star for all series throughout the years? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be universal.
Yep. So that'll be a good way to start. And that's the nice thing is, regardless of, if you keep that $20 roll, like you want to be under $20 per box or binder or whatever you're buying, and you see that there's holographics, you see that they're old cards, you see that there's stars in there. Stars are the rare cards. You really can't lose. I mean, if there's enough cards, you'll definitely be able to make your money back at the very least. But they're like, for example, Justin Jacobs had a binder sent to him that he had collected when he was a kid, and me and him went through there, and he did really well on those cards, and he was surprised with how quickly they were selling.
Good.
Okay, so Aaron Marcus has a question for you.
Okay.
Dad's Vintage Garage bought 100 seal packs from an auction. Should he open them, or should he sell them sealed? What's the best method?
I would say it depends on which packs they are. I could help out better if I knew which set. Some sets sell better sealed. If they're old, you could even PSA grade those. Okay, so with any sealed product, buying is a lot. The main problem is going to be, have they been weighed? The newer sets can't be weighed, but the older sets can. So a lot of people are wary to buy sealed product if it's an open lot outside of a booster box. So I would say if they're an older set, you can either grade them because people don't care what's in them. They just want like a very pristine pack that's unopened. Or you could try to sell them, or you could gamble and just open them. I would really like to know, again, which set, because the newer sets also have the code cards. So you'd get like a higher value by opening them, possibly.
Especially if they're still in standard format. Every year, Pokemon will rotate sets out of the standard format and put them into expanded, which essentially standard is what the World Championship of Pokemon is in. So you want to make sure that if they're brand new sets, they're worth opening, because the newer the set is, the more value the cards have. And once the next set comes out, they kind of drop a little bit, and then once they rotate out of standard, they drop a lot. So the newer they are, the more prone I'd be to opening them. But like Aaron said, like for example, if you have a base set, like the very original Pokemon card set, just you could make good money just selling the pack alone. Sometimes you make more money selling the pack if there's nothing good in it. You know what I mean? Because you open it, you're like, dang, I just wasted like $200.
Yeah. Maybe the packs from the 90s. I would say if they're base set, fossil, or jungle, to keep them sealed, because you don't want to gamble yourself with that. So either sell them sealed, or if they're any of those three, again, the base set, fossil, or jungle set, You could grade those as well. Yeah, grade or sell them sealed, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of those packs still hold up as long as they were stored good. So you have a good likelihood of getting a decent grade on them.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of base set stuff graded and sold like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I personally want to build a collection of PSA graded packs. I've been kind of working on the Chinese sealed packs because they were only around for a few sets before they canceled the Pokemon cards in the Chinese language. So I have a few of those sealed, but I'm going to work on those first and then get to the English ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool. Are they considerably less as far as value for the Chinese ones, or are they about the same?
They're a little less, but I think that as time goes on and there's none left, that those, of course, go up a little bit. It depends on like if you're in it for nostalgia or like the history. If you're in it for like the history of the game, then buying the Chinese packs, it's not a horrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially since they're not around anymore.
Myra wants to know what the best fossil card is.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I want to say I'm not sure. I wish I knew that set a little bit better. I know the Aerodactyl is often sought after from that set. So maybe that one.
Old school pickers asking what's the price point you send cards off to get graded? Like, what's the value? What's the cutoff? Like, as far as the card's worth? Like, as far as like, what's the lowest card you would send off to get graded? Like, price wise?
In between 5 and 10, I would also say that like you would want it to be something that's not heavily played currently, because you could probably get more value for it just outside of grading. For instance, the Dedenne or Lele. Players are often buying those for the sake of playing with them. Gosh, that's hard too. I would say that if it was something like a Gyarados or a Charizard, regardless, you get that graded. That I would say probably $10 is where I would go. Other thing you would want to do if you only have a few cards, look into places like Ludkin's collectibles that are kind of the middleman between the grader and PSA and us, basically. And you can get them graded for less if you don't have a lot of them. Yeah.
So, old school picker wants to know what that sale was, Tommy.
It was a pair of Backrich men's dress business tan trousers, size 38.
Nice. There you go. Justin's asking about Magic and stuff like that. He doesn't really know where to start with it. I guess he got 4 decks from somebody for $3. I'm pretty sure you could probably go to TCG Player for that as well, because that is a trading card game, and that would probably at least give you the value of some of those cards. I don't know much about Magic either. I picked up a little sleeve of Magic stuff out of the bins when I went to Rhode Island just because it was there and it weighed like nothing. So I haven't even looked into them yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would also say TCG Player, because you're going to get the direct value, like the current value of them. Then you can price them off and see if you want to sell them individually or as decks. That's another option. Yeah, I know a lot of Magic players. I'm trying to remember the name. It's just it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't. There are a set of Magic cards that basically will never be rotated, I believe, but they're expensive, but they're about to, like, according to a lot of market watchers, are about to double in price. So there's a lot of, like, the upper Magic is spend money to make money right now. If you're not doing like the current sets as far as playability. Mhm. I wish I remembered the the name. I'm sorry. I need to get more into Magic, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know much about Magic at all.
Yeah.
I had a friend who I was getting him into Pokemon, and he was really big into Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh. So I was I was buying him Pokemon stuff so that he would like build decks and stuff like that. He was buying me Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh stuff so that way I would build decks and play those games with him. So it was kind of like a trade-off. Like we'd get together like once every couple weeks, and he'd have like some Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh stuff for me, and I'd have some Pokemon stuff for him. And for me, like Pokemon's just always been my favorite card game. To me, it was a little bit easier to strategize for than Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. Maybe it's just because I wasn't as deep into those communities as I was into Pokemon. Just because I've liked Pokemon ever since the original Game Boy games came out. So it's just been something that I kind of grew up with more so than the other two.
Mhm. Yeah, Rare Magic has the gold symbol, and then there's like what, silver and like a reddish like bronze, and then there's their rarity. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm using a Pokemon card. But right where this symbol would be is where like the Magic rarity is. It's like for them they have their set symbol, and then it's the color of their set symbol that's their rarity. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay. Mythic. Yeah, that's right. Have the orange bronze.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, Random Victory.
Yeah. What's up, Rando?
So, is there anything as far as like what you're doing with your channels, like either one of them, or what you have planned personally that you'd want to share with people?
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm restarting my old Pokemon channel, Trainer TV, and I am building it beyond the card game a little bit. But since we're talking about selling, that is one thing that I didn't do last time that I want to do with this new channel is either partner with somebody or create my own store. Because I feel that's one of the strategies that's not being used as much is becoming an influencer and selling through your influence. As far as I should say, it's being used all the time. But as far as Pokemon trading card game, there's not a lot of people that are doing it right now. I know some Instagrammers who have really built up their audience just by showing their collection, and they're now selling singles on there. And it's a really great place because they post singles up with the price, and then the first person to write claim, in the comment, then you start the DM and sell it right off. So Instagram's really good right now, I would say, for selling, and then the Facebook groups.
We have a guy that's in the resale community. His name's Lonnie. He has a channel called Garage Flips. He's in the 30,000 subscriber range. Like a lot of his videos, he'll go around, pull orders, and a lot of times, like from his influence, you'll see a lot of viewer sales. He's even built like his own website just of his stuff now, and he can't keep the thing stocked because people are buying up all of his stuff. So I definitely think with the YouTube influence and Twitch influence and stuff like that, I definitely think that's more than doable, especially with how sought after a lot of the cards are.
Yeah, exactly. And with the influence, obviously you don't do it for this, but it's kind of just like a result of being an influencer is a lot of people want to support you. They can't always do it with money, but they have cards. So I have a lot of people that say, here's a bunch of my cards, I know I'm not really playing right now, like we talked about. Sell these, keep them for your collection. I don't care. I just want to support you.
Yeah,
So, as you grow, that will happen a lot too.
that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. Another thing would be the not only brand recognition but brand loyalty. Is now people are going to buy from you versus an like some eBay stores or TCG
Yeah.
player stores because they've become part of your community.
Yeah. I know I'll do that personally too. Like I would much rather go to a friend than, just some random place. Even if I'm paying like an extra dollar or so, I'd rather see the business go to somebody that I know and, that I want to support.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the way everything is going. It's in the future, no matter what you sell, it's all brand because, as things like Amazon grow and grow and grow, eventually, you know, I don't know exactly how it'll all play out, but if there is a one central marketplace, period, then the lasting brands on there, the will win. So another thing that's interesting that I'm going to start looking into a little bit more is voice. So like Alexa skills. As far as I know, I don't know too many card sellers that have created a skill. And of course, it costs a few $1,000s, but as voice grows, if you're one of the first stores to have, the voice recognition, hey, Alexa, buy Pokemon cards. Here's a list of recommendations. You're one of the first ones on there,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna probably do well.
That's an awesome idea just for any type of sales.
hmm Yeah.
That's
I don't
pretty
think a lot of sellers are doing it yet. Yeah. So
Yeah. So you guys definitely want to make sure you're subscribed to both of Aaron's channels. That way you can keep up with what he's doing. I think a lot of what he does is cutting edge. Like I really do. That's one of the things I really enjoy about watching him is because he's ahead of trends all the time. And he'll actually go through in his vlogs and he'll share just like he's talking about now. Like who would have thought to do the skills with Alexa? You know what I mean? Like for the voice recognition. Like I never would have thought of that. But he's brilliant with a lot of that stuff. So definitely, like I said, even if you're not into Pokemon, you can learn stuff just by watching them.
thank you very much. That means a lot. Yeah. I'll try to keep on them trends. I need to go learn TikTok right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Brandon Victory says I'm not having Skynet in my house.
Fair.
Touché. So, I guess we can pretty much wrap up the show. Is there anything that either of you guys would want to say in closing?
I'd just like to say thanks for coming on. I mean, it was quite a bit to absorb, so I'm sure I'll be picking Anthony's brain when the opportunity comes across.
Yeah,
to get familiar, but that's how you learn, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I really appreciate it too, Aaron. Like just you taking the time out of your day to come on here and just hang out with us and some of the community here and teach us a thing or two.
Yeah, no, I thank you very much for having me on. It was great, to meet a new community and talk to you guys a bit more. And I'll be sure to stop by a little more in the future. I like learning as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot I don't know, but no, I really appreciate it. And anybody in the chat, just hit me up if you have any questions while on your Pokemon journey. Yeah, I'll be sure to answer.
I'm sure that they will too, which is a good thing too, because there's some really cool people in this community that are like very loyal followers, and I'm hoping that a lot of them will follow you over to your channel and into your future endeavors as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, we appreciate everything.
Before you sign off, Anthony, if I could add real quick, that we are still looking for a handful of people to test our product, our merch. We want to send out samples. People will give it durability test and wear test and whatever. So if anybody's interested in getting some free stuff just to check it out and put it through heck for us, you know, to let us know how it'll stand up to dishwashing or clothes washing or whatever. Sun and fading wear on your vehicle if you want some decals or something, some vinyl on there. I'm going to drop my email in there. Just email me and let me know like what type of products you think you may be interested in purchasing in the future, and we'll try to get some of that stuff out so you can test it first.
I think that's really awesome that you offer that, man, because like that to me takes away all the risk of even purchasing stuff. Is, you know what I mean, being able to get your hands on something before you even, you know, for $0 too. That's
right.
I don't know any other companies that offer that. So I think that's really cool of you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, that's just it. We are first, you know, starting out. We're, you know, so we're still getting to learn our quality of material and, you know, different ways of doing it. There's different ways you can transfer to t-shirts. There's different products for these different ways, and we just want to find the best. So I'm sure there's going to be, you know, some weak spots, and we want to have those all fixed and corrected before we would actually launch to the market and try charging people. We don't want to charge somebody for something and their printing on their shirt falls off, you know?
Yeah. Looks like I'm sure you probably already talked with Nate, but
yeah, Nate, we definitely got him. Destiny's actually working on something for him.
Oh, nice.
Already.
And you know me, man. Like I'll test anything you want, and I'll promote the heck out of you just because you're one of my good friends. What's up, Kimmy? Yeah, we got a couple Colorado people in the chat right now. Aaron.
Hey.
Kimmy, you live in Denver, don't you?
All right.
And Veronica lives out there too.
I know the snow started today, so
really?
Yeah. But yeah, Tommy, I hope that there's a lot of people that'll take advantage of that, because I don't know any other person that's getting into the merch game that's like, hey, let me give you free stuff.
All right.
And even once he starts charging, I know his goal is to be able to give you the best price possible. You know, there's a lot of us that'll use like the Teespring or something like that, where I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to spend $20-some on a shirt of my own channel. So I don't expect any of you to. You know, like my mom doesn't want to spend $20-some on a t-shirt for my channel.
And that's why we're going in that direction. I mean, we'll have brand new. You want brand new shirt, you want brand new hoodie or something like that. Not a problem. We can provide that, but there's cost associated with brand new. Where since we're already into clothing, we are going to be offering that you can get this same design printed on a grade A pre-owned hoodie for a fraction of the cost. You know, and try to make it affordable for. I mean, I don't have any bargain effect merch myself because of the cost that it is.
Yeah.
And then I found out, well, I like hats and I want a couple hoodies and maybe a jacket and a shirt. And I was like, well, by the time I go on Amazon or go to one of these companies and have it printed up, I can buy the equipment, print it myself, and now I can do this for other people, provide them a good value, and still make a couple dollars doing it.
Yeah. Veronica wants to know if you can add a hand-drawn picture.
I can add anything you would like.
Nice.
There you go.
Yep. So if you got like grandkids that drew you a picture and you wanna keepsake that and put it on a Christmas ornament, coffee mug, t-shirt, mouse pad, we want to be able to do all of that. And that's why we need product testers to test a mouse pad durability, to test a coffee cup's washability, to check fading through washes or cracking and peeling in the wash.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Sure. And I love the pre-owned element to it, where you can go and you can thrift stuff and even offer a deeper discount than, because you do offer the brand new clothing too, but offering to, you know, make it a thrifted shirt that looks brand new, that essentially it might even have had tags when you got it at the thrift store. You just got it at a fraction of the price, so you passed.
And that's what I was gonna say. We got the hell they're champion polos. And these shirts look like they were never worn. It looks like they were hung up in a closet and never worn, because there's not even fading on the tag or anything. The tags are still brilliantly colored. We pick these clothes up at our thrift store once a week. They have $7 fill a garbage bag for clothes. And it's like, so I can provide a wider range of clothing and styles versus, you go on Amazon, you go on Teespring, you get your choice of one or two kinds of hoodies, one or two kinds of t-shirts. But if you wanna put this on whatever kind of clothing that we can offer you in your size, and we're gonna put a page together that will show our inventory, basically our used inventory, and then what we can offer. Obviously, I'm not going to carry 60 different kinds of shirts in new. In the pre-owned, I might only have 1, 2, 3, or 4 of this particular style of shirt in your size, but you're going to be able to get those 3 cheap, a whole lot cheaper than your basic tee brand new.
Yeah,
I can sell you a hoodie at the same price, a grade A pre-owned hoodie at the same price that I could sell you a brand new just a t-shirt.
Yeah.
One
thing I'd like to do too before we sign off is, I said I'd give away the code cards. Here's what I think I want to do. If you would, after this video is over, well, not over, but shut down, I'd like to see you guys go over and subscribe to Aaron's channels. If you would, come back to this video and leave a comment with the number of subscriber you are. I think that'd be really cool. That way, we'd see, and I won't pull the drawing for who that person is until, maybe Monday or Sunday or something like that, just so we give the weekend just for people that are going to rewatch this to go over and show Aaron some love for coming and spending close to 2 hours with us. So I'd appreciate that.
I like that.
You guys can get all 4 code cards. You can play them, you can sell them, you can do whatever you want with them. So, all right. Anything else, gents?
No, that's about it. Just like always, I wish everybody a good, productive, happy day.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us